the world and brought nations to their knees. The virus took away lots of lives and continues to loom over us. But did you know there could be another contender waiting in line, a dangerous contender known as the zombie fungus, a fungus that hacks the brain and could potentially turn one into a zombie?
Jake from State Farm.
Breaking news from Turkey tonight, where a strong earthquake struck. A 7.8 magnitude quake that toppled dozens of buildings. Video just coming into Action News shows a collapsed hotel and several other buildings heavily damaged. The quake was felt in 9 cities, as well as in Lebanon and Syria. At least 17 people have died reported so far, but officials fear that number will rise. Turkey sits on top of major fault lines, and earthquakes there are relatively common.
In a war-torn part of the world that has bitter experience of catastrophic events, and it keeps is a catastrophe in a war-torn part of the world that has bitter experience of catastrophic events, and it keeps getting worse. The first earthquake, 7.8 magnitude. We are now, this is a catastrophe in a war-torn part of the world that has bitter experience of catastrophic events, and it keeps getting worse. The first earthquake, 7.8 magnitude. We are now hearing, Savannah, of another earthquake in the same area, 7.6 magnitude, and earth and aftershocks in cities in Iraq. And Savannah, the numbers are stunning. Almost 3,000 buildings have collapsed. More than 1,300 people have been killed, and that number inevitably will rise. Thousands have been injured, and thousands, Savannah, are now on their way to try and take part in this desperate rescue operation. Whole buildings collapsing from the earthquake's power. Unable to stand against this quake, almost 8 on the Richter scale. The morning light revealing devastation and wreckage. A toddler in Syria, bloody but conscious, pulled from the rubble. And other survivors taken from collapsed buildings, lucky to be alive. 3 huge tremors, snapping streetlights and sending car alarms wailing. The moments recorded on security camera footage. This is one of the region's worst quakes in decades, striking while people slept just after 4 a.m. The quake hitting Syria, an area already war-torn with hundreds of refugees. The tremors felt as far as Beirut, Jerusalem, and Gaza. In northern Syria, they are searching for survivors in opposition-held territory. Hospitals there, already overwhelmed with the injured.
We need help. We need the international community to do something to help us, to support us.
Turkey's President Erdogan said rescue workers will be joined by troops to search for survivors, but they have a vast area to cover. Those searching calling for silence as they try and listen for trapped survivors. This rescuer asking someone trapped, "What color are you wearing? Are you wearing pink?" A frantic rush to find those caught in the rubble. The White House offering to provide any and all assistance to Turkey, although the statement left out any reference to the US working directly with Syria.
Pembe var mı üzerinde? Abla şu an lütfen siz kendinizi düşünün. Başka bir şey görmüyorum ben.
Oraya
Allahu Ekber!
Earthquake has shaken Turkey and a number of nearby countries in the Middle East. It was a 7.8 that hit just after 4 in the morning local time. That's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon Los Angeles time. A series of powerful aftershocks followed, the largest being a 6.7.
Buildings collapsed across the region. A hotel in the town northeast of the epicenter came crashing down. Rescue efforts are ongoing. Crews are pulling people out of the rubble in a massive effort to save lives. More than 200 people have been killed in Turkey and Syria, but that number is sure to climb. The quake hit in the middle of a cold winter warning with snow falling that is expected to continue through Thursday. The shaking was also felt in Syria, where buildings fell down in the northern city of Aleppo. Some 4 million Syrian refugees live in poverty across the border from Turkey, settling there after a civil war. Lebanon also felt strong shaking for about 40 seconds, and we're hearing people in Beirut are out in the streets for fear buildings may collapse there.
Developing tonight, tragedy unfolding in Turkey and Syria following a magnitude 7.8 earthquake. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Meeback.
And I'm Christina Rendon. We already have reports of this earthquake killing at least 195 people in Turkey and Syria.
And the death toll is expected to rise, and hundreds of others have been injured. This earthquake struck in Turkey, about 60 miles north of the country's border with Syria. That quake happened in the early morning hours. Rescue workers and residents grabbed flashlights and frantically started searching for survivors under the rubble of crushed buildings in multiple cities on both sides of the border. Right now, it's just after 9 o'clock in the morning in that region. At least 6 aftershocks have hit the area, including a magnitude 6.7.
Well, we're learning about a lot of damage in Turkey and Syria. People as far away as Cyprus reported feeling the earthquake. Syria state media reports several buildings have collapsed in the country's densely populated northern city of Aleppo. One person in Turkey, about 285 miles away from the epicenter, managed to get a camera rolling just in time to capture the last few moments of shaking. We are monitoring developments coming out of that region tonight. We'll bring you updates later on in the newscast as well as online at ktvu.com.
In southern Turkey, buildings crumble like sand. Obliterated by some of the worst earthquakes in a century. The first struck before dawn as the country slept. The impact captured on a shop's CCTV, shaking for around 90 seconds. The terror and scale of the damage revealed with the light. The number trapped beneath the rubble is unknown. The death toll is rising, and the aftershocks keep coming.
A second 7.6 quake rocked the center of the country, making the rescue efforts even more dangerous.
There was an aftershock of more than 6 points magnitude, and it did cause a certain extra damage, not just only hampering the rescue efforts. Because I did see on my way, this is my second visit here, some of the buildings that looked fine before were also damaged.
The earthquake was incredibly powerful, unleashing widespread destruction without warning. A force so intense, it wiped out history in seconds. This 2,000-year-old castle among the wreckage.
Bu gece saat
At 4:17 a.m., we experienced the worst disaster of the century since the 1939 Erzincan earthquake. The earthquake, whose epicenter was in Parachuk in Kahramanmaraş and had a magnitude of 7.7, as per the latest estimates, was felt in a very broad region.
Survivors are being found. Here, a child is pulled from the rubble. The next 48 hours are critical for saving as many lives as possible. The weather is making the situation even more dangerous for those still trapped. Rain, sleet and snow are slowing down rescuers, with temperatures expected to drop below zero in the coming hours. Dozens of countries have already pledged aid. The UK is sending 76 search and rescue specialists with dogs and equipment. For survivors, time is now the greatest threat. Siobhan Robbins, Sky News, Turkey.